Hi. Hi. So we both work at Logley. My name is Noah Giff. This is Michael Bakkemo, and we're going to give a talk on how we're using Erlang at Logley to do Devops work, and how some of the Erlang features have been very useful to us. So a little bit about the Logley Stack. We're predominantly on EC2. We use Mongo, Python, Erlang, Java, Solr, JavaScript. So we're a software as a service company. Basically, some of the other companies that you may have heard of that do some of the similar things are like Splunk or ArcSight. Those are kind of some similar competitors. And so one of the things that's happened recently from being on the cloud is that this is actually a graph of a fairly recent number of alerts that we've seen over the last 6 months. And so as you can tell, some things have trended in a bad direction. and so one of our coworkers has experienced this as well. And so one of the things we needed to do was figure out, well, how can we actually fix this? And what are some of the problems that we're having that are causing these alerts? And one of the issues is, this is a breakdown of the actual alerts, is that it turns out that the processes that we're running in the cloud happen to be very problematic. And if you look at some of these alerts here, this is this thing we call a splitter. There's actually Solr itself. There's, we had syslog-ng running, kind of proprietary daemons running. And all of these happen to run within the context of this utility called supervisor. That's a Python, I guess, clone of Erlang's supervisor. And this is one of the problems, is that they all fail. So some of these external non-Erlang process management tools actually haven't performed like we'd like them to. So basically what we used before was this Python-based process management tool. And for example, one of the problems we've had with it is that we added a new tool that actually forked off child processes, and that blew up actually the supervisor process. Things didn't restart reliably. Things aren't actually cluster aware. So everyone that's been spoiled by Erlang, like other languages, they don't have some of the features that Erlang has. So that was a minus. The other thing that also made us decide to look at Erlang to do process management is that we didn't have good monitoring or logging integration. So we wanted to not only have very fine-grained, OTP type control over the processes, but we also wanted to be able to hook into, we're a logging company, we wanted to hook into that and actually bring it back to us. And I think why not some of the other process management solutions like God or Monet? I think the Armstrong corollary on Greenspun's 10th rule of programming, which I'll get to, probably everyone here knows it. We need to heavily customize it, like I mentioned. And I think it's also about picking the right tool for the job, and a few of us knew Erlang. So I think this is a great quote. Basically all sufficiently complicated distributed systems contain an ad hoc, informally specified bug-ridden slow implementation of half of Erlang. So basically we had that. So we decided to actually just use Erlang. And so then the next question was, well, does an OTP do that? And it's, yes, it does. Kinda though, but it's just for Erlang processes. So here's an example, right, of spawning a process. And one of the problems is that unfortunately standard error and standard out are mixed. So that's one issue that we had. And so the way we actually got around that was we wrote a little shim that handled it, and that's kind of where the ick aspect came into it. And so what we finally decided to do is actually write an open source project that's not released yet that actually just does this uses OTP for non-Erlang processes. So now we're going to get into Loom, and Michael is going to start talking about that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to now go into a little bit of a demo mode. Let's get out of here. And I will probably just be lazy and take a seat here while I'm typing. Okay, so you can talk now.
Just to show that there's actually something really going on. Okay, now start them up.
Okay, so we will get into Erl and application starts Loom.
So now we're up and running, and that little Python program is actually printing out stuff, and that's good. And then this tail tornado process is actually our tail process that we run for showing people their logs coming through in real time on the web page. And your heartbeat monitor from that will show up eventually. Or did you kill it?
Yeah, I might have actually killed it, but
Oh, yeah.
yep.
Good job. The demo worked.
Anyway,
and then
you get the point though.
So it's not released yet because, well, we're still polishing the code, but the idea here is we're going to try and get rid of supervisor, try and get rid of God, because it really should be an OGB application. Also, we're going to release it because one of the major pain points that we have, go to the website.
Okay.
Go to log document. So this is our application, and this is him doing a query off of the event log events that are coming through that Loom is actually sending log doc. So the idea here is we're a logging company. We want people to actually log their data to us. This is a natural fit, but one of the main problems, can you go to the inputs page? One of the main problems that we've discovered, and maybe Mike can relate that.
I can't go to the input. I don't want to get onto the network, but I can.
Okay, fine, whatever. Is that it's really actually hard to set up inputs to actually log to us. And since we like customers, or at least the idea of customers, we ourselves can do this programmatically from the tool. So the tool isn't necessarily for you guys because, well, you are already Erlang programmers. You probably are in a homogeneous Erlang environment, perhaps. But for the people who are out there using supervisor painfully and God painfully, this can help them, and they can set up their inputs easily from this tool. So that's the general idea. And if you find that it helps you, great. If you want to contribute to it, great. That'd be awesome. And it doesn't have to log to us. It'll just log to us very, very easily. So I think that's pretty much where we are. So are we?
Yeah. So I mean, I thought like one of the things we would ask is kind of like an interactive talk a little bit. Like, has anyone done something like this before? Or they have any concerns about what we're doing, or?
Thought about it. Don't
Okay.
like it.
Yeah.
Don't like mine, and we don't like it.
That's
So,
pretty much it, yeah.
so we'd like to make it simple. We'd like to make it actually work and free, and we wouldn't mind tricking it out
So
for free. So.
what's the interface between the supervisor and the program that's running?
Sorry, I didn't.
So what is the interface between the supervisor and the program that's running? So do you capture standard error, standard out?
Yes, right. So we have a bunch of different tools in our stack, and they all sort of log differently, which is kind of problematic as well. So we have some apps that have a heartbeat, some apps that have a REST interface for capturing information, some apps that log the standard error, some that log the standard out. So the idea here is we capture standard error, capture standard out, heartbeat ports, and REST interfaces that you signal. And we will, at a time interval, and we'll go through and capture them and shove them to Logley or shove them where you want them to go.
Hold on, so you in addition to capturing standard out and standard error, you also do something else like
Well, if the app has a heartbeat, we, on a port, will listen to that port for you. Capture that.
Okay.
Sort of like we could become syslog. Like perhaps you're throwing it out to 514 or whatever. Right? And if you give us a REST interface will hit that as well. Grab the data, throw it into Logley
Just say
or wherever.
callback URL.
Yeah, URL that the app provides that will say, oh, this is my uptime, this is what I've been doing in the last 10 minutes, whatever. Yeah.
So they decide to restart something based on like the application stops in heartbeats or
Yes.
it just dies the process.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah.
And do you apply some restart strategy like with OTP supervisors?
So the quick overview of the general design is that there is one supervisor per, there's a gen server process that fires off the shim and starts the process. And there's a supervisor watching that, so that it will restart if things die. And there's a supervisor above that watching a whole bunch of those units that have different restart strategies. So, and then there's another supervisor that is really just, and server that's really just holding state and talking to the other side of the tree.
So basically it's a gen server.
Yeah,
Okay.
plus supervisors.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing too is we figured that it would be nice to, I think the plan is to be, I mean, we have some working code that's, I think we could even release it like in the next, week or something, just clean it up a little bit.
Shooting for a month from now.
Yeah. But then hopefully a bunch of people, I think a lot of people would want this. And so we're probably not as smart as a lot of the other people in the community, and they can come in and help us make it something cool.
And I think a lot of people just do this ad hoc on their own, and well, let's fix it for real one time and get it done, and then we never have to worry about it again.
And what's kind of interesting is we didn't know about this, but the Folsom thing is kind of interesting too, because that actually could
Yes.
work together,
Stick Folsom
right?
So you can loom to Folsom.
in. Stick Folsom in, or the other way around. It just to get the metrics from the VM. Yeah. Another thing that we like about this, so one of the reasons it's not out to the public right now is we have a very specific infrastructure that is written to, that other people probably don't have. So we provision our VMs over right scale. So we use the right scale tags, and a JSON file is generated for every machine that informs that machine about the roles and locations of all the other machines in the deployment. So we can leverage that, and you might not be able to, for example. So one of the things you can do with the supervisor that we can do is, and nobody here will be surprised that we can do, but people who use Supervisor God probably would be, is we can just say, oh, I want to do a multicast, fire off this, please restart all the Apache servers in this block of machines, and then fire that off over the network and just have it work, because the only people who would respond to that are the Apache machines, and they know who they are. So that other ones would just drop the message and not do it.
I just want to make sure, I'm wondering if I interpreted what you said properly. Are you using Loom to supervise Apache?
We use Loom to supervise the OS processes in our stack. Yeah.
So yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Think you do like a rolling restart, or
We can do a rolling restart, yeah.
I like that.
very cool.
So it's not the coolest, most groundbreaking piece of software in the world, but we hope it's useful.
How long have you guys been working on it?
It's about a month.
Wow.
But yeah, I guess the thing, the reason why I think this is really an interesting technique for Erlang, I guess, to kind of embed itself in the community is that we didn't have to write OTP, right? Somebody already wrote it for us, and so yeah, I think
Let's have a tool that actually works. Any other questions? Not that I expect any, but any other questions?
so I'd be kind of curious about your experience with was it God that you used previously?
So we use Monet.
Oh, Monet,
for our
okay.
non-Erlang processes. For the Erlang, we just use the VM heartbeat, and it
Yep.
usually does what it says on the tin. And the discussion that keeps coming up in our infrastructure is how do we stop our I'm not going to name the programming language, but how do we stop the non-Erlang daemons from never coming back up? And right now we use modded on it, and the discussion that we've kind of been skirting around for a while is, couldn't we just hack together a supervisor bridge to watch these things for us? And it seems like, although it doesn't sound like you used the supervisor bridge module, you're using something that fits into the Erlang supervisory structure to restart non-Erlang components.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could show some, no, okay.
How are you doing it right now?
How are we doing
If
it?
it's not a supervisor bridge.
Oh, if we walk back to the other,
It's like a gen server watching a port, it seems.
it's a gen server that fires off a shim that starts the program, and the shim will separate the standard error, watch standard error and standard out of the program that it started.
And by shim, you mean that's the little C executable that's being spawned off kind of thing?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And
It will, yeah.
that gets restarted if the process dies. Right?
According to
The process watches the file descriptor. If the PID goes away, or if a heartbeat isn't received from the supervisor process, it will kill itself. And if the supervisor process notices, if the gen server notices that the process went away, that it died, it kills itself, the supervisor then restarts. Standard HTTP.
So the two things we have in our Loom stuff, that's a dedicated supervisor and then the gen server.
So these two are supervisors, these are the gen servers.
Okay, cool.
Right, because these have different restart strategies. Right? So if the restart strategy fails, there's the max retries
Yeah.
exceeds the time limit, this whole tree will go away. This one, right? So we have to, that's the firewall right there. And then this guy has all the information about what these guys are actually running, and you talk to this guy, please start it, please stop it, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty simple design.
Why it's called Kali?
Well, so it's called Kali because, and these guys are actually called Uatu, and I don't know if you know that Uatu is the Watcher in the Marvel Comics universe. But we had a naming competition, and there were a bunch of different names, and nobody liked the fact that their name didn't get picked. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to call all these different things. The the 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the naming competition. So that's why it's called Kali, goddess of rebirth and destruction. Yeah.
And can I ask what's the Logley business model?
Do we have one?
We take your logs. So if you're running a set of servers in the cloud, so sort of the standard thing right now to do is to write all your logs to disk, and then you SSH onto each one of those servers and pray that they're still up.
Yep.
And then you never rep through your logs.
Yep.
What we do is instead of that, you pipe your logs directly to us as the events occur. We store it, we index it. You can come to our website with a query or with a time that you want to look over. We provide text results, graphs, whatever you need.
And it's, I think, until all the VCs find out, we still accept 200 megabytes of data per day for free. So
So if you choose to actually use the option to log your events from your infrastructure to Logley, if it's under 250 megs a day,
Or 200,
it's free. And I've had assurances from our CTO, or whatever we want to call him, that there'll probably be some, I don't know if it'll be 200 megs a day, but it'll be some free amount per day to just log to Logley from the tool. So you could use it if you wanted to. I mean, I know some people probably might not want their data off into the cloud that we control, but if you don't care, then you can use it. And you'll have a nice aggregation and visualization tool.
yeah, and I could see how we could use the stats from Folsom,
Exactly.
right? And we could display that as well. So.
So if it meets your needs, please use it.
Yeah,
But-
let us know what it's on GitHub.
Yes, we will. I don't know if we can announce it through the Erlang
No,
backend.
no.
Yeah, actually, what's the best way to, if you talk about something at a conference and you're going to coordinate, like,
You guys tweet?
We
I
do
don't.
tweet, but who listens to Logley? You didn't even know who we were.
We will now.
Okay.
Well, you can announce it once you release it on Erlang questions. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, before that, it's just vaporware, right?
Twitter, mailing list, IRC, I guess that's the way Erlang
It
communicates.
seems like this kind of tool should be built into OTP.
It
directly.
does!
Yes,
Why
yes.
don't we just contribute this back to OTP?
Yeah,
Instead
there
of
we go.
A separate project that somebody has to find on the internet and then start using.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that.
that's
It's just that there will be code in it. I mean, maybe we shouldn't release that to OTP, but there will be code in it to make it very, very easy to set up so the general design is for each process that you're actually monitoring, there'll be a separate input at Logley. And so you can look at just the things you're interested in on the inputs, separate them out, overlay them. So that code, OTP probably doesn't want to hear about it.
So, yeah, actually, if I may suggest, if you want this thing to become TikTok and become popular, you better untie your Logley specific backend and put it in a different place. So
Mhm.
make it optional. Don't put those two things in the same bucket.
yeah, we definitely are. It's not going to be you download it and then it sends data to us.
No, we're not going to be dicks about it.
yeah,
But we
yeah.
do want to make it very easy
Yeah.
to get the data into Logley.
That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be really useful for
Yeah.
people, I guess.
And yes, it would be wonderful. This should be part of OTP.
But
But
all of us have approached this problem in pretty much the same way and written pretty much the same thing.
we all have
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
in an ad hoc manner.
exactly.
Yeah,
So.
right. And if they would just, there's a patch from 2009 to separate, so that you can
Oh, yeah, I
actually
saw that
grab
one. Yeah.
grab error. And why isn't that in there? I don't know.
Does anyone know about that?
Guess nobody really
I'm
uses
assuming
it.
it's the same reason the TTY driver still strips anti-color codes. They don't want to mess with that code. I'm assuming.
Oh,
That's what I'm
so
assuming.
brutal and old that nobody really wants to look at
I'm
it?
not assuming that's what it is. Like
Some
it's
legacy system
terrifying.
works now. Let's not touch it.
Yeah.
Right, okay, well. So, in the interest of, let's stop everybody from re-implementing the same thing over and over and over. Let's make it rock solid and then finish it off and have it out there. I mean, maybe it should be part of the OTP library releases, yeah. That'd be great. And I wouldn't, because I searched, right? I was looking around like, why isn't this tool already there? And there has to be. And actually, it doesn't have to be. But hopefully we'll, yeah.
So looks like we finished a little early, unless
Well,
there's more questions.
oh, yeah.
I might have missed this. When did you say it might be available?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we need to find good solutions for the.
Yeah, we could actually. That's a great. We could add, what are the blockers that we have right now that we're embarrassed about, and then maybe we could find answers to them now, or somebody already has a solution.
Well, I don't know that there's a good solution for ripping out the stuff where we generate a truth JSON file for all the machines
Yep.
in our deployment plan. Who
Yep.
knows how people are going to approach that in their infrastructure.
Sure. But the shim, maybe.
Well, the shim is right now a Python process, and it's going to be rewritten as a C process because, well, we just wanted something really quick to. Who cares about the shim, right? It just has to work, and it has to be nice when we finally release it. But to actually test code and get shit up and running, the Python shim was just fine. So you won't see a Python shim when it's released.
But he wanted to know when it was going to be
When it's
available.
going to be released? I'm shooting for a month. Is that too long?
No, it's fine. One of those things you're
I'll work harder. 3 weeks.
No, it's just one of those things you're saying, why doesn't this tool exist? And I think the reason is lots of teams are probably building it themselves and they're sharing it with anyone. I mean, I know some guys on my team are doing something similar, not exactly.
Exactly, and I understand that, and I plan on jerking this thing out to more than just this architecture, right? I'd like it to be pluggable commands that you just plug in and work across your infrastructure. Right? For example, the rolling restart stuff. So then if we have it out there, there's a point where people can contribute stuff to it, and they won't be doing every team recreating this.
Yeah, and it is funny that that video this morning was really awesome because the part where they talked about how you have to cron things constantly, and it's like,
We have to do that.
yeah, we have to do that. It's like Java, eats up all the memory, reboot.
Also, we're moving into more of the data analytics off your logs as well. So we'd like to be, for example, I don't want to inflict that on people, but we'd like to be able to offer analytics and actionable events off of your log events. So like defining variants that you never want to be broken in your logs and alerting on that. So all that stuff would happen, or we'd like to provide on our side, our computational power, our big solar infrastructure. But that should be a plugin, right? It shouldn't be inflicted on you guys unless you want it. So yes, we agree.
Yeah.
We're in violent agreement.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a reasonable is that we just provide a plugin that sends your data wherever you want. Right.
Anything else? Noah Gibbs and Michael Bakkemo, thanks very much.